Before I begin today's video, I'm going to need you guys to go and hit that subscribe button. Thank you.
What is up, everybody? You already know who it is. It's your boy, Mocho. And today we are back with a new reading from the Holy Scripture. That's right. Oh, excuse me. Today is day 27. And, we are going to be covering Exodus 15 to 18, right? No, 15 to 19. Yep, Exodus 15 to 19. Alright. Let us begin, I guess, right? Journey to Sinai? The thrill of the thrill of victory and the praise of God for salvation had hardly subsided when fear, doubt, and murmuring set in among the Israelis. As they faced the wilderness without food and water, they quickly forget the miracles which have brought them out of Egypt and began to complain that Moses has brought them out of Egypt only to face certain death in the desert. But they have overlooked the possibility that God is able to miraculously provide for their needs, which of course He does. During the next 3 months, the Israelis will move eastward from the Red Sea. In this period of time, they will defend themselves against the Amalekites, a nomadic people of the Sinai and Negev region, who are naturally resentful of the Israelis' intrusion into their territory. Here, Moses will be reunited with his wife and children, who have returned to be with Moses' father-in-law, Jethro. While Moses was locked in the struggle with Pharaoh, while the two are together, Jethro gives Moses an excellent advice, which leads to the establishment of a system of judges to settle their disputes among the Israelis. The account begins as the people leave the banks of the Red Sea, in which Pharaoh's army has been destroyed. Bitter water made sweet. Then Moses led Israel from the Red Sea, and they went into the desert of Shur. For 3 days they traveled in the desert without finding water. When they came to Marah, they could not drink its water because it was bitter. That is why the place is called Marah. So that people grumbled against Moses, saying, "What are we to drink?" Then Moses cried out to the Lord, and the Lord showed him a piece of wood. He threw it into the water, and the water became fit to drink. Protection from diseases. There the Lord issued a ruling and instruction for them and put them to the test. He said, "If you listen carefully to the Lord your God and do what is right in His eyes, if you pay attention to His commands and keep all His decrees, I will not bring on you any of the diseases I brought on the Egyptians, for I am the Lord who heals you." Murmuring for food. Then they came to Elim, where there were 12 springs and 70 palm trees. And they camped there near the water. The whole Israeli community set out from Elim to come and came to the desert of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai. On the 15th day of the second month, after they had come out of Egypt. In the desert, the whole community grumbled against Moses and Aaron. The Israelis said to them, "If only we had died by the Lord's hand in Egypt, there we sat around pots of meat and ate all the food we wanted. But you have brought us out into the desert to starve this entire assembly to death." Meat and bread promise. Then the Lord said to Moses, "I will rain down bread from heaven for you. The people are to go out each day and gather enough for the day. In this way, I will test them to see whether they will follow my instructions. On the 16th day, they are to prepare what they are bringing in, and that is to be twice as much as they gathered on the other days." So Moses and Aaron said to all the Israelis, "In the evening you will know that it was the Lord who brought you out of Egypt. And in the morning you will see the glory of the Lord, because he has heard your grumbling against him. Who are we that you should grumble against?" Moses also said, "You will know that it is the Lord when he gives you the meat to eat in the evening and all the bread that you want in the morning, because he has heard your grumbling against him. Who are we? You are not grumbling against us, but against the Lord." Then Moses said to Aaron, "Say to the entire Israelite community, 'Come before the Lord, for he has heard your grumbling.'" While Aaron was speaking to the whole Israelite community, they looked toward the desert, and there was the glory of the Lord appearing in the cloud. The Lord said to Moses, "I have heard the grumbling of the Israelis to them. Tell them, at twilight you will eat meat, and in the morning you will be filled with bread. Then you will know that I am the Lord your God." Quail and manna set. That evening, quail came and covered the camp, and in the morning there was a layer of dew around the camp. When the dew was gone, thin flakes like frost on the ground appeared on the desert floor. While the Israelis saw it, they said to each other, "What is it?" For they did not know what it was. Moses said to them, "It is the bread the Lord has given you out to eat. This is what the Lord has commanded. Everyone is to gather as much as they need. Take an omer for each person you have in your tent." The Israelis did as they were told. Some gathered much, some little, and when they measured it by the omer, the one who gathered much did not have too much, and the one who gathered little did not have too little. Everyone gathered just as much as they needed. Then Moses said to them, "No one is to keep any of it until morning." However, some of them paid no attention to Moses. They keep part of it until morning. But it was full of maggots and began to smell. So Moses was very angry with them. Each morning everyone gathered as much as they needed, and when the sun grew hot, it melted away. Sabbath rested instituted. On the 6th day they gathered twice as much, 2 omers for each person. And the leaders of the community came and reported this to Moses. He said to them, "This is what the Lord commanded. Tomorrow is to be the day of the Sabbath, a holy Sabbath to the Lord. So bake what you want to bake and boil what you want to boil. Save whatever is left and keep until morning." So they saved it until morning, as Moses commanded. And it did not stink or get maggots in it. "Eat it today," Moses said, "because today is Sabbath to the Lord. You will not find any of it on the ground today. 6 days you are to gather it, but on the 7th day the Sabbath. There will not be any." Nevertheless, some of the people went out on the 7th day to gather it, but they found none. Then the Lord said to Moses, "How long will you refuse to keep my commands and my instructions? Bear in mind that the Lord has given you the Sabbath. That is why on the sixth day he gives you bread for 2 days. Everyone is to stay where they are on the seventh day. No one is to go out." So the people rested on the seventh day. Manna kept for a memorial. The people of Israel came called the bread manna. It was white like coriander seed and tasted like wafers made with honey. Moses said, "This is what the Lord has commanded. Take an omer of manna and keep it for the generations to come, so they can see that the bread I gave you to eat in the wilderness when I brought you out of Egypt." So Moses said to Aaron, "Take a jar and put an omer of manna in it. Then place it before the Lord to be kept for generations to come." As the Lord commanded Moses, Aaron put the manna with the tablets of the covenant law, so that it may be presented. The Israelis ate manna for 40 years, until they came to a land that was settled. They ate manna until they reached the border of Canaan. An omer is 1/10 of an ephah, water from the rock. The whole Israeli community set out from the desert of Sin, traveling from place to place as the Lord commanded. They camped at Rephidim, but there was no water for the people to drink. So they quarreled with Moses and said, "Give us water to drink." Moses replied, "Why did you quarrel with me? Why do you put the Lord to the test?" But the people were thirsty for water there, and they grumbled against Moses. They said, "Why did you bring us up out of Egypt and to make us and our children and our livestock die of thirst?" Then Moses cried out to the Lord, "What am I supposed to do with these people? They are almost ready to stone me." The Lord answers Moses, "Go out in front of the people. Take with you some of the elders of Israel, and take in your hand the staff with which you struck the Nile, and go. I will stand there before you by the rock at Horeb. Strike the rock, and water will come out of it, and people to drink." So Moses did this in the sight of the elders of Israel, and he called the place Massa and Meribah, because the Israelis quarreled and because they tested the Lord, saying, "Is the Lord among us or not?" The feet of Alchemites, the Amalekites came and attacked the Israelis at Rephidim. Moses and Joshua chose some of our men. Moses said to Joshua, "Choose some of our men and go out to fight the Amalekites. Tomorrow I will stand on top of the hill with the staff of the God in my hand." So Joshua fought the Amalekites as Moses had ordered, and Moses and Aaron and Hur went to the top of the hill. As long as Moses held up his hands, the Israelis were winning, but whenever he lowered his hands, the Amalekites were winning. When Moses' hands grew tired, they shook a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it. Aaron and Hur held his hands up, one on one side, one on the other, so that his hands remained steady till sunset. So Joshua overcame the Amalekite army with the sword, Amalekite, to be destroyed. Then the Lord said to Moses, Write this on a scroll as something to be remembered, and make sure that Joshua hears it, because I will be completely blurt out the name of Amalekite from the under heaven. Moses built an altar and called it, "The Lord is my banner." He said, because hands were lifted up against the throne of the Lord will be at war against the Amalekites from generations to generations. Reunion of Moses and Jethro. Now Jethro, the priest of Midian and father-in-law of Moses, heard everything God had done for Moses and the people of Israel, and how the Lord had brought Israel out of Egypt. After Moses had sent away his wife Zipporah, his father-in-law Jethro received her and her 2 sons. One son was named Gershom, for Moses said, "I have become a foreigner in a foreign land." And the other was named Eleazar, for he said, "My father's God was my helper. He saved me from the sword of Pharaoh." Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, together with Moses' sons and wife, came to him in the wilderness, where he camped near the mountain of God. Jethro had sent word to him, "I, father-in-law Jethro, am coming to you with your wife and her 2 sons." So Moses went out to meet his father-in-law and bowed down and kissed him. They greeted each other and went into the tent. Moses told his father-in-law about everything the Lord had done to Pharaoh and the Egyptians for Israel's sake, and about all the hardships they had met along the way, and how the Lord had saved them. Jethro was delighted to hear all about the good things the Lord had done for the Israel in rescuing them from the hand of the Egyptians. Jethro worships God. He said, Praise be to the Lord, who rescued you from the hand of the Egyptians and of Pharaoh, and who rescued the people from the hand of the Egyptians. Now I know that the Lord is greater than all of other gods, for he did this to those who had treated Israel, arrogantly. Then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, brought a burnt offering and other sacrifices to God. And Aaron came with all the elders of Israel to eat a meal with Moses' father-in-law in the presence of God. Jethro suggests judiciary. I don't know that word. The next day Moses took his seat to serve as judge for the people, and they stood around him from morning till evening. When his father-in-law saw all that Moses was doing for the people, he said, "What is this you are doing for the people? Why do you alone sit as a judge, while all these people stand around you from morning till evening?" Moses answered him, "Because the people come to me to seek God's will. Whenever they have a dispute, it is brought to me, and I decide between the parties and inform them of God's decrees and instructions." Moses' father-in-law replied, What are you doing is not good. You are these people who come to you will only wear yourselves out. What? You and these people who come to you will only wear yourselves out. The work is too heavy for you. You cannot handle it alone. Now listen now to me, and I will give you some advice, and may God be with you. You must be the people's representative before God and bring them disputes to him. Teach them his decrees and instructions, and show them the way they are to live and how they are to behave. Be select capable men, but select capable men for all the people, men who fear God, trustworthy men who hate dishonest gain, and appoint them as officials over thousands, hundreds, fifties, fifteens, and tens. Have them serve as judges for the people at all times, but have them bring every difficult case to you. The simple cases they can decide themselves. That will make your load lighter because they will share it with you. If you do this and God so commands, you will be able to stand the strain, and all these people will go home satisfied. Judges appointed. Moses listened to his father-in-law and did everything he said. He chooses capable men from all of Israel, and made them leaders of the people, officials over thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. They served as judges for the people at all times. The difficult cases they brought to Moses, but the simple ones they decided themselves. Then Moses sent his father-in-law on his way, and Jethro returned to his own country. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was today's reading. So let's do a quick reflection. So as of now, they're across the Red Sea. The entire Egyptian army is gone, and they're finally across. This is the story when they're across. So they've been traveling the desert for 3 days, and they ran out of food and water. And the people started complaining, and they're thinking they're about to die out there. And with all that doubt, Moses is like, why are you questioning God? So God performs his miracle for the people. And as he does this, he brings them bread and I think he said meat. So bread in the morning, meat at night. And they weren't allowed to save it, I believe, if I read that right. And every day was the start of a new day, same thing, they would have to go and pick up the bread, and they weren't allowed to save it. And then and then what they said on the 7th day was Sabbath. I forgot how that works. And then it was said that God commanded them to travel through all the desert, throughout the desert. And then they came across land, and they got real thirsty. And the land they got to had water, but the water was bad. And then they went to Moses, and they were threatened, to whoop his ass pretty much. And then Moses went to God and said, they're about to stone me because there's no water here. And then God's like, take this wood, throw it in the water. And he did that, and they purified the water, and then, people were happy again. But yeah, so far, they're just doing God's work and traveling across the desert until they were brought back to their homeland, pretty much. So Moses is back with his wife, his 2 kids, and his father-in-law. And, now, I guess it doesn't say, but I'm assuming they're happy to be back. And Moses' father-in-law realizes, people are surrounding Moses on a daily, and he asks them why. Moses says, I'm basically, I'm I'm helping these people with their problems. They're coming to me with all their problems, so, I'm helping them out. And then Moses' father-in-law said, you know what? You need other people as well. You need some judges, people that back you up, help you. And if there's any bigger cases they need help with, give them to you. That comes to you. And he's like, all right. And that's what he did. He appointed some judges out to handle the little things, and anything big was sent to Moses. And that was it. That was today's reading. And I enjoyed it. I really did. It was a good read. The continuing story of Moses. I'm ready to read about the 10 Commandments. Honestly, I keep thinking that's about to come up, that's in today's story, but no. But that's what I'm waiting for. But yeah. Well, I'm done. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, because I did. So you already know who it is. It's your boy, Mocho. And it's time for me to what? Skedaddle on out of here. Peace.